driving. Hope comes and stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good morning. One more share to do. All right. Yes. Okay. And unfortunately, my internet was not put in yesterday. So, said something was, they weren't getting good signal all the way through. So, he said, you'll hear back from us. Okay. You can see where my kitty cat got me. Don't. He got me somewhere else too. So, I'm going to give it till the 3-minute mark, as usual. I should set this up at least a little bit better. Yeah, before I get started today, I guess rewatchers will hear this. I was on the phone with a friend, and she helps me out with this. In fact, I've made a lot of changes to the Daily Trudge because of this friend. Because she gives me really good advice. It's actual advice. And she said, Dion, you've been using the F word an awful lot lately. So I'm gonna try and make this a little bit more PG-13. So I'm articulate enough that I think that I can work on that. I didn't realize that my language had become a problem, but if a friend of mine is saying something, I better listen to that, because I do a lot of talk. What she said was, Dion, you're going to be over there talking to those church people. You're going to say the wrong word. So you best work on it now. I'm like, yep, you were absolutely correct. You are right on that. I could not disagree with her. And that's what friendship is about, man. Saying, hey, I see Dion's going a little off kilter there. I know that I can say something to him. She had also said, I've made some comments and stuff. We don't always agree, and I'm not always right. I'm not always right. Apologize. Yeah, so I'm not always right. So you gotta take those things into account. But she asked if I had taken the comments down. I told her no. I won't take comments down. I don't do that. Unless it's somebody that comes on and just like name calling or an appropriate one. But just because you have a difference of opinion does not mean that you are wrong or I am wrong, or, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I don't know that I quite agree with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Then let's discuss it. How else are we going to learn? Sometimes I need to learn through my mistakes. Seems like my sound's doing something really weird. I'm going to double check it here, since nobody's on to be able to. Okay. I'm doing okay there. All right. Let's get started on this. I'm going to start out with As Bill Sees It on page 24. We're at the 5-minute mark, so I think we're good to go. I don't quite have anybody here yet, but I'd like to change that. I would like some suggestions from my listeners on things that I could do to make this a little bit bigger. It doesn't need to be huge. Doesn't need to be huge, but to have people on consistently would be neat. And they don't always need to be the same people. So, because I have a lot of regulars, but even my regulars, gosh, I don't want to listen to me yak every single day. I can't expect that from people. I really can't. I know I've got a nice voice, but come on. After a while, it irritates me. All right. A like when the chips are down. In the beginning, it was 4 whole years before AA brought permanent sobriety to even one alcoholic woman. Like the high bottoms, the women said they were different. AA couldn't be for them. But as the communication was perfect, mostly the women themselves, the picture changed. But as the communication was perfected, got it, perfected, a little bit different there, mostly by the women themselves, the picture changed. Wow. So our women folk came on in and said, hey, no, we got to make some changes here to be able to fit for us. And this is where AA started to become not all exclusive, not inclusive. Anybody is welcome. Imagine doing this in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, even the 80s. We still had a lot of racism going on in the 80s, mostly against Libyans and stuff. It seemed like there was always somebody that the United States currently hated, right? And they were always the bad guys when we were growing up. And I just don't see life like that anymore. This process is identification and transmissions has gone on. The Skid Rower said he was different. Even more loudly, the socialite or Park Avenue stumblebum. I forgot that word, stumblebums. Oh, stumblebums, if you don't know what they are people that drink, okay, but have a lot of money, but end up at Skid Row anyway. They still end up down at Skid Row drinking with everybody. Because why? Because they're looking for companionship. All right. Said the same. So did the artists and the professional people, the rich, the poor, the religious, the agnostic, the Indians, the Eskimos, the veterans, and the prisoners. We've all got our own problems. And we do, kind of.
Facebook. And the Facebook gods decided.
I'm live, Chris. You could have just come on here. That was Chris. He's one of our regulars. There's one thing, or there's several things that all of these people have in common. Well, there's definitely one thing. Every single one of them think they're terminally unique. And we do. We think we are terminally unique. We don't know any better. We don't. We think that our problems are so different than everybody else's. Okay. And we prove that by getting into particulars. Well, if you would have done, or if you would have had my life, well, if you would have had my life, now we start to get into war stories. Well, who had it worse? What does it matter? What does that matter? We stay out of war stories. We don't tell war stories. Right? It's been a while since I've heard people sitting down telling war stories. It's kind of neat. Because usually you have to be like, yo, cut that crap out. I want to hear it. I hear it. We talk about recovery here. We live in the solution. What's another thing all of us have in common? Loneliness. The pure hell of loneliness. And it's hell. It is pure hell. Is it not? See, there should be other people going here. Yeah. But nowadays, all of these and legions more soberly talk about how very much alike all of us alcoholics are when we admit that the chips are finally down. Okay. I don't discuss rock bottom anymore. There's only bottom. You have a bottom. I have a bottom. That's going to be your decision. But this isn't about having a bottom. This is about the fact that we are people that would not normally mix. I probably wouldn't be friends with a half of you. Well, I would, if I was still drinking, I wouldn't be friends with any of you. Because I didn't have friends when I was drinking. I drank alone. I drank by myself. Ask my wife. I didn't have drinking friends. I didn't have bar buddies. I literally had no one that drank with me. Nobody wanted to drink with me anymore. Pretty lonely when you can't even find a bar fly to hang out with you, right? We of Alcoholics Anonymous know thousands of men and women who have once who were once just as hopeless as Bill. Nearly all have recovered. They have solved the drink problem. Recovered. Not going to get into that. We are average Americans. All sections of this country and many of its occupations are represented, as well as many political, economic, social, and religious backgrounds. We are people who would not normally mix. I can tell you now, my home group, there's no way we would have mixed. But because of the camaraderie of Alcoholics Anonymous, we have become very good, fast friends. Okay? And I bring this up here and there. There's one guy in there, and we don't dislike each other, but it's not like we go out of our way. You know what I mean? It's just that way. But I can tell you now, if I had a problem or he had a problem, we would be there. We would still be there. Because maybe there's some things we don't like about each other, but we love each other for who they are. And that's pretty neat. And we've never even talked about it. Nope. It was just a natural thing. He's got like 13 years. You know, he's in a portion in his life where he understands love. You know? And because of that, because sometimes I show up to the meeting, it's just me and him, and it can be a little uncomfortable for me. I don't know if it is for him. So, but there exists among us a fellowship. That's exactly what I'm talking about. If nothing else, all I have to do is say, how about that Bill W? And we'll be off talking. If there's one thing this man and I do know and will do well together, it is. I think if he and I did a 12-step call together, I think it would be fucking cool. Because we have different types of recovery, kinda. It's weird. I love his recovery. So, all right. We are like passengers of a great liner the moment after rescue from shipwreck, when camaraderie, joyousness, and democracy pervade the vessels from steerage to captain's table. Unlike the feeling of the ship's passengers, however, our joy and escape from disaster does not subside as we go our individual ways. That's what's neat. Okay? You ever done like a homeward bound, or I'm sorry, outward bound? Homeward bound is something entirely different. Like outward bound, or if you did like a group thing together where there were safety or trust falls, things like that, and you got to know each other, or maybe you took a class and people got really close, and then afterwards, as soon as it's over, that memory and that feeling fades. And it starts to go away. Isn't that neat how the sun came out when that happened? Right? And it goes away. But not the same in AA. With it, we get to go home and think, wow, those people are going to be there again tomorrow. I think I'm going to go check it out. Why? Because when I got here, you were speaking my language. You were speaking my language, and I loved it. I felt so alone my whole life that the biggest joy I've ever felt was actually coming home. Okay? And home is here. I'm home. Doesn't matter where I live. I'm home. As long as I make it that way. And the feeling of having shared in a common peril is one element in the powerful cement which binds us. But that in itself would never have held us together as we are now joined. No. See, we become a part of your everyday life. No, we don't dump at meetings, but we do discuss what's going on in our life. Sure we do. Especially if it's a home group, there's no newcomers, we can be a little bit more lax in that meeting. Hi, Ingrid. It's good to see you, honey. Here's why we can go our separate ways and still feel that camaraderie. The tremendous fact for every one of us is that we have discovered a common solution. Now, once we get to that fourth and fifth step and you start agreeing to this process, that's what will start to happen. You'll be like, oh, you know what? I'm doing my fourth step. Now I'm like the other people in my group. Now I'm a part of. Yeah, I was talking with a sponsee the other day and they stated, I feel fake. I feel fake. Very legitimate. I felt that way. You ever feel like I know Ingrid's here to raise her hand. You ever felt like a fake in this program? Yep. Sure the fuck have. It's because we're not used to it. It feels fake because we haven't done it before. And it feels fake because we were taught that if something's too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. But not in this case. See, it too good to be true means you don't have to put any effort in. And that's not what's going to happen here. Okay, the effort that you put in, the dividends that you get from God is from the action. It is the dividends of doing action, of working on your program. Okay. See, when I say, man, I did my fifth step and I felt a lot less lonely. If you've done your fifth step, you understand. Okay. Using empathy there. So hasn't felt that way because you have felt that way, but not because of that. So, but you still get it. Yeah. So in a sense then, huh? But I've felt like a fake before. Sure. And of course I've felt like I haven't fit in. Even sometimes in my home group. I go to my home group and I'll get upset if nobody says hi to me. That was before. I don't do that shit no more. People still don't say hi to me. They're usually yakking or whatever. If you want to be in the conversation, unmute, be in the conversation. If you're not feeling it being a part of, be a part of it. Okay? I can't complain about people not doing that if I'm isolating. And I'm not saying you're doing that, Ingrid. And I apologize if it was coming across that way at all. I was talking about me. Okay. We have a way out on which we can all absolutely agree. See, we can all agree on that. And we don't have to disagree on the other stuff because we don't do that here. We have no outside opinion. No. If I'm in a meeting, we're talking Alcoholics Anonymous. We're talking recovery. We're talking recovery at all times. We have a way out which we can absolutely, and upon which we can join in brotherly and harmonious action. This is the great news this book carries to those who suffer from alcoholism. All right. That's what I got for today. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Ingrid, it was good having you. I hope they get my internet in soon. Yep, there's nothing else coming to the brain. So that means God says, you're done, Dion. All right. And I did not check, but I don't think I said the F word once. So, Ingrid, you weren't here for that part. I was letting know that I'm using the F-bomb a lot. So I'm trying to make this a little bit more PG-13. So if you, Ingrid, you're really good at that. If you could keep on my ass about that, I would really appreciate it. I really would. Because I don't want to send people, I don't want to have a potty mouth. I don't want that. All right. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. I love you. Peace out.